Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamualaikum. Jiayanu, Pakhairagale, Ni Hao, Churashumme, Washmale. Ohio Gonzalez, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifa Hal, Halishuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasar Marhaba, Buna, Mucho Gracias, Swabia, Balli Kareaya, Hosh Galdan and Ayasayo, Huyamora, Chivato, Chihajod, Kalifera, Khairutan, and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning. Alongside my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Miss Haja Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, ladies and gentlemen, for all those people who reside within the GCC countries, ladies and gentlemen, a happy Ramadan to all of you as well.
Happy
and obviously,
Ramadan.
People away in Pakistan are gearing up for Ramadan as it's going to be the first ever fast tomorrow, inshallah. But first things first, hello Haja, assalamu alaikum, how are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much, Jazakallah Khair, for introducing me once again. Ramadan Mubarak to everyone out there, especially in the GCC countries and in the Western countries who are observing their fast today and have offered already their first Taraweeh of this particular year. And I hope and pray that this year, the Siyam of this year brings you warmth, contentment and makes you even more closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you are able to work on yourself and being a better Muslim and a better ummati in the first
And
place.
that's exactly what I have planned for my Ramadan as well, because PSL is going to finish on the 18th, so after like 6 or 7 rozas, you know, that's exactly what I planned, that okay, I'll come to work, go to gym, you know, make sure that I pray my five daily
gym
prayers.
is a non-negotiable for you, yeah?
5 daily prayers.
Alhamdulillah.
And, you know, kind of have my time with Allah Almighty as well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. But okay, you know, we'll talk about it. You know, we have programs planned, programs lined up for all our viewers who are out there, and you will be amazed with the kind of programming that we are coming up with, inshallah, from today onwards. But first things first, Haja, there's this question which everybody is going to ask you probably when you're growing up. You know, if somebody would ask me, Beta, what do you want to be? So my first ever reply was, I want to be a boo. You know, that's it. You know, so I just wanted to be like my dad. But what about you? You know, you might have come across this question most of the times.
Of course. So when I was growing up, so stars always fascinated me a lot, and I wanted to be an astronaut because I wanted to go out in the space and I wanted to explore that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has holding out in all of these celestial bodies. And nowadays, and especially since my childhood, I have this very unexplained longing whenever I am gazing on the stars. And especially, Shahzad, you would also can relate to this experience, because when we were growing up, and especially when we used to go to our villages, or maybe, you know, sometime when it happens that, you know, electricity was not around and we were having
that's what you would do.
Yes, yeah, tubeless, and we would stargazing and we were observing the stars, and then we would, and that was a very fascinating sort of a discussion, because then we would make patterns out of all of those stars. And then since my father was in the military, so he had some sort of idea about these constellations. So, you know, he would say this is the North Star, this is the guiding star. And then in the ancient people, they used to have their voyages planned just by observing those star movements, and especially the movement in the sea. Their voyages were extremely linked with the stars. And it is also very fascinating that how some ancient civilizations, especially when we talk about the Egyptians, they had this ilm, and they could, I mean, have a lot of things explained by just
even
observing
weather, weather they could
celestial
predict.
bodies, right? So, and then they have the entire story in Quran and Surah Yusuf, where Hazrat Yusuf was able to predict that there is going to be, I mean, famine coming in that particular area, and then he was brought to the king, and whatever he said was true. That obviously he was a prophet, and he had a particular prophetic light on him, and he was infallible because he was in the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But apart from that, there were also people who could also predict that what is going to happen, and they have a very strong and a fair prediction, right? But I think Quran mentions, and Quran has taken the stock that we humans, we are very arrogant, and that's very true, because we think that we are at the highest or the zenith of the civilization, right? We are the highest intelligent bodies here. But again, whatever cosmos hold for us, whatever other bodies or celestial bodies or extraterrestrial bodies this cosmos hold for us, that's very fascinating. And I always feel a longing towards the star. I don't know, I can't explain.
And I think everybody kind of feels that too, Aja. Imagine, so I still remember, just because, you know, when you were mentioning, I still remember that, you know, there was a time in summers where unfortunately if there was no electricity, and if I was at my grandparents' place, still remember that we used to sleep on the roof of the house,
Yes,
you know, with
yes.
all of those mosquito nets and whatnot. So every time I would say to my Dada Abbu, you know, we used to call him Abbaji.
Oh.
So Abbaji neend nahi aa rahi. You know, he would always tell me, why don't you count the stars? And you know, as soon as you know, kind of get started with that, all of a sudden you realize that, hey, you know what, you woke up in the morning. So I think this was very interesting. And then not just that, very sorry, I have another application recommendation for you. And what does application do is that, you know, that if you're going to put the camera, you know, on the sky, it will actually show you all the constellations and where which star is.
That's
and you know, me and my brother-in-law and my nephews, we do it most of the times as well. But this is very interesting, and thank you so much for sharing your love. And we still pray and hope that you become an astronaut. Why not? You know, if you're going to feel it, you know, it will certainly come one day as well, because we have seen, we have interviewed other astronauts as well, and I think it's great to be over here.
But that requires a lot of money.
Yeah, even I wanted to be a pilot, but imagine now I'm the pilot of a show, right? So I think we might still be astronauts as well.
Alhamdulillah, and there is a stargazing culture specifically in the Balochistan, and people from across the world, they come here and they observe the stars. And if someone is interesting, I think there's also a society out there that particularly talks about stargazing, and it's a very interesting sport because they are moving across the entire desert, and then they are looking and watching and gazing at constellations. But again, celestial bodies have their own charm. So now let's move forward and develop the conversation and kickstart our segment, because we are going to talk about...
Yeah, because there's a reason. You know, so what we're going to kind of talk about today, ladies and gentlemen, is that for me to kind of think that I wanted to be a GD pilot, you know, for her to think that she wants to be an astronaut is because of the fact that we came from backgrounds where, you know, we had access to quality education. Now, when we talk about quality education, is which has shaped up our personalities. You know, it kind of has enabled us in doing what we wanted to do in life, shukr alhamdulillah. But what about all of those children who are out of school? 32 million children in Pakistan are out of school. Not just that, you know, we have a menace of child labor which exists within our own society. We do know that, you know, all of those children are not even being heard. What can be done for all of those children to kind of do what they want to do in life and achieve what they want to achieve, and how they can be provided with a conducive environment, and that too in terms of quality education, getting equal opportunities, being a member of the inclusive society. And to talk about that, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined with somebody who happens to be a child rights activist herself. She is Miss Mariam Azram. Hello madam, assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum ji, alhamdulillah, I'm fine. How are you?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here. But first things first, before we delve into, you know, to talk about, you know, child education or child labor, eradication of child labor, are you prepared for the holy month of Ramadan? Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Ghee ke dabbe, chini, ketchup, you know, everything.
Are you?
I think so.
Okay, alhamdulillah, because usually ladies at the household, they deal with it, and all of those pakoras.
I think that the only thing I am interested in is, you know, the garlic chili sauce big pack. That's it. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I'm always interested in.
Because all of the fried stuff, pakoras and samosas are going into our platter, but alhamdulillah, we will talk about it. But madam, now let's talk about it. And we've seen that estimatedly, according to ILO, that there are 168 million children that are performing child labor, and that is 11% of the population, right? So in Pakistan, we have seen that government has taken a lot of initiative to crack down on the child labor, but obviously there are leakages in the system, and that needs to be dealt with, right? So how exactly can we deal with this menace, and how can we curb those leakages?
Actually, Miss, I'm sorry, मैं अपनी जो हमारी नेटिव लैंग्वेज है उसमें बात करना ज़्यादा मुनासिब समझूंगी, क्योंकि आपका जो पीटीवी है वो ज़्यादा आपका देखा जाता है हमारे उन्हीं बच्चों के साथ. Miss,
I mean, it's fine, but you know, I think what we really need to do is respect the medium that we use over here. It's because of the fact that we are the only English channel, if you're comfortable, and then we can translate it for our audiences. So please go ahead.
Okay, ma'am, we can eradicate the child labor from our society, but it is a much difficult task for us. Because we can't extract the children who are doing labor, because they are the breadwinners of their family. You know, that is why we are going to we are not extracting them from their labor, but we have to do something right that will be their way forward, that will be more convenient for them. It will be more easy and more convenient for them.
Again, Shahzad, I think you would also agree with me in this fact that this entire child laborhood has an economy to it, right? So if you see people or children who are begging on the roads, they are getting the money out of there, right? Or the parents who don't send their kids and they are sending their kids to, perform some sort of labor, or they're in the bondage labor, again, they are helping him earn the money, right? So how to break that nexus of the money and then sending the children? Because obviously the money, when it is involved in that, there are lots of high stakes involved in that.
And in
right?
addition to this, I think that we really need to direct this debate or this argument in a direction where we really need to kind of identify whether who's doing it willfully and whether, because when we associate somebody with child labor, that means that, he's or she is forced into it. Now,
Right.
there are people who can do their own businesses at a very early age and, there's no harm in it. People certainly should be allowed to do that. But where there are children who want to study, who want to go to school, but are forced by their parents or any other external stakeholder within their own lives, is certainly something that we will associate with child labor.
Yes, exactly. But we find some facts from our study.
Please.
There are many children who wanted to go to school, but they are forced from their parents to go and earn the money.
True.
But some of the reasons are they are belonging from poor family,
Right.
Okay.
Right.
and poverty is the main cause that they are doing laboring. And we find many of them who are captured and who are
Sold in the market,
sold
yes.
in. So that is the main reason that they are begging in different stations, different signals, and different areas.
It's a mafia as well.
Yes, it is mafia, and I don't think so. We can break this mafia because they are very
Well connected
and strong in their connections.
And everybody's getting paid as well, so their household affairs, day-to-day affairs are being run as well, so they're like, okay, why to disturb this cycle?
Yes, but
So I've seen a lot of, very sorry, but I've seen a lot of NGOs jump in. Now, what those NGOs do, for example, I still remember Shahzad Roy. Shahzad Roy is one of the most amazing people, celebrities, singers, and a philanthropist who made sure that he's going to send children to school, and not just that, at the cost of, for example, if the child is going to say that, sir, I cannot go to school because of the fact that I have this much amount of money, so his organization will pay that amount of money to the child to attend the school. Now, it did work for a few years, but it didn't really had a sustainable plan to it, because then people thought, hey, you know what, this is difficult, we need to go back to that.
yes, but it is not a sustainable change. We are giving them the theme that they are not doing the right based approach. They are not doing this right. They are doing this need based approach. We have to use right based approach. We should aware them on the right based approach. We should aware the government, aware the relevant stakeholders that they are the most vulnerable children. We should hurt them.
Okay.
We are not going to extract them from their the laboring they are doing, but we should hurt them.
But what
we
is
should provide them the opportunity in
We should
policy making.
listen to them.
We should listen them.
Yes.
Right, and what exactly is the right-based approach when you talk about it? Because you are not in the favor of needs-based approach, right? So how do you differentiate between the two, and how can we have a more sustainable pattern within the right-based approach?
The right-based approach is when we talk about need-based approach. Need-based approach is actually we are giving them the packets of ration in Ramadan.
Okay.
This is need-based approach. We know they need some kind of food, they need clothes, they need shoes on Eid. This is the need-based approach. We know them. This person, these children need the clothes, need the education, need the fee. This is the need-based approach.
Right,
but
right.
we have to provide them the right-based approach. What is the right-based approach? They should know them that they have the right to talk about their vulnerable conditions, vulnerabilities, what their parents, what they feel, what the ustad is doing with them on the workshop. This is actually what we wanted to provide them, what we
Right.
have to provide them on
Right.
their workplaces.
Right, and obviously that requires a massive awareness on a massive level when we talk about the rights-based approach, right? But we have also seen that there are lots of kids who are engaged in the commercial purposes, like for example, they're working in the agriculture, then they are working in the brick kilns, right? And government of Pakistan obviously has taken a very strong initiative to have that crackdown. But then again, when we talk about the leakages in the system, it is still going on, right? So when you talk about the rights-based approach, and especially if you want to curb the menace regarding the kids who are, in the bonded slavery of the brick kilns, how can we approach this topic that is more focus-based and it has a more right-based
Exactly, and
approach?
Hajar, in addition to this, very sorry, but I would love to add over here, because these visuals that we're sharing with each and everybody who's out there in 46 different countries, imagine that we're talking about eradication of child labor. That's one aspect of it. Imagine that there's no safety tool that they have to themselves.
Yes.
There's no helmets, there's no protective glasses, they're doing this hardcore welding sort of a work and cutting work. So imagine there are no gloves, there are no slippers. So
No glasses
I
either,
think
right?
so imagine that rather than eradication, first what we really need to kind of talk about is there's safety at the workplace as well.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there are people who are actually committing this crime of making sure that there's bonded labor and child labor, and they have picked up children who are going to work for them at a very lower wage. We really need to protect them health-wise as well.
Yes, we have to provide them the awareness as well. We have to not extracting them. Again, I'm still on the point, we should not extract them from their laboring, but we have to provide them the health and safety awareness.
True.
What they have to do, what they are doing in coal mines. You can see at workshops,
And the
at
bricklanes, she spoke about.
they do not have even the shoes. They once they are starting working on the kilns, after that they are used to walk on it.
True.
They are very familiar, and that is
So
the
what
normal
do you
for
think
them.
that there's any other organization who's actually working in this direction to make sure that they protect the rights of
we
children?
seen many of the organizations who are doing this, and one of the
UNS.
very minor, but not the minor, but they are doing on grassroots level working. That is the Rasti organization. We have seen them. They are working all kind of labor children, but especially focusing on coal mines.
Okay.
Especially focusing on they identified 11 hazardous occupations. We have seen their many kind of publications and their studies they are doing on listening to the experts project. They extracting and they identified many children that they are doing laboring.
It's wonderful. Now imagine that if in terms of change that we really need to kind of witness over here for all of these organizations to come together. We have this United Nations organizations as well, who work for the rights of children. Not just that, we have other organizations on ground. Number one, how much impact do you think that we have made over the years? Number two, to kind of wrap it up, how do you think that all of these children can be heard? How do you think that these children can be made aware of what their rights are? Who do you think that they can go to? Is there any helpline that they can contact and say, sir, I'm stuck over here, मुझे इससे जान छुड़ानी है, मैं स्कूल जाना चाहता हूँ, कोई ऐसी जगह है हमारे बच्चों के लिए जहाँ वो फ़ोन करके ये बता सके और गवर्नमेंट कोई स्ट्रिक्ट एक्शन ले सके कि ठीक है आ जाए आप हमारे पास?
उसमें सर ये कि अगेन आई कैन ऐड कि चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन एंड वेलफेयर ब्यूरो आपका बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहा है. 1121 उन्होंने अपनी हेल्पलाइन
1121 इज द हेल्पलाइन फॉर द चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन ब्यूरो.
चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन ब्यूरो की हेल्पलाइन है और वो काम करते हैं. वो जब आप उनको कंप्लेन करते हैं तो वो डेफिनेट बात है कि वो उनको जाते हैं, वो उन बच्चों को लेते हैं और अपने पास उनके जो है चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन यूनिट्स हैं उनमें लेके जाते हैं और बच्चों को देते हैं. अगर वो एजुकेशन करना चाहते हैं, अगर वो इस एज में है और वो विलिंग है पढ़ने के लिए, तो उनको वो एजुकेशन भी प्रोवाइड करते हैं. अगर वो किसी टेक्निकल इंफॉर्मेशन की तरफ जाना चाहते हैं, किसी टेक्निकल डिप्लोमा की तरफ जाना चाहते हैं, डिसेंट वर्क की तरफ जाना चाहते हैं, तो वो उनको उस साइड पे लेके जाते हैं और वो उनका पे ऑफ
एजुकेट करते हैं.
And I think one of the aspect that we might have missed, and I think that is very important when we want to develop this conversation, is the child trafficking that is happening, right? Obviously, when we are talking about the child labor and we are talking about the bondage slavery and whatever happening is, so we see that their parents, they are willing to send their kids to their workshops or whatever to acquire some skills so that they can bring in the money, right? But what about the kids who are kidnapped, about the kids who are trafficked and then they are exploited sexually also, and there's an entire capitalist economy that is involved with that, right? So there is entire money that is coming out, and then once again when we talk about it, it's a very powerful mafia and they're very well connected. They have connections in the power corridors at every level, right? So how can we curb this menace of child trafficking? Because it's not just a Pakistan problem, it is a global problem, and we've seen that how they're trafficked across the world.
Ma'am, the child trafficking is a very huge and a very big problem, but
Yes.
in Punjab there you can say the local government has developed different kind of committees that are Destitute and Neglected Children Act under the this act ना 1992 act है उसमें, और उन्होंने सॉरी अगेन उन्होंने ये कमेटीज डेवलप की हुई हैं और उसमें आपकी लोकल गवर्नमेंट जो है चाइल्ड जो लेबर ऑफिसर है आपका, उन्होंने उनको इन्वॉल्व किया हुआ होता है और वो चाइल्ड लेबर की जो ट्रैफिकिंग हो रही होती है उसकी एरेडिकेशन के लिए उनको रोकने के लिए उस पर काम करते हैं. बट जो चिल्ड्रन है जो ट्रैफिक हो रहे होते हैं उन बच्चों को आप अगेन वो बेगर्स में ही जाते हैं। जब वो आपके पकड़े जाते हैं तो वो उसमें काफ़ी सारे लोगों ने उनकी या तो उनकी जो ऑर्नामेंट्स ऑर्गन्स होते हैं उनको सेल किया हुआ होता है, उनकी लेग्स वगैरह काट के उनको बैगिंग में डाल देते हैं, या फिर ये होता है कि वो ज़्यादातर जो ट्रैफिक होके आपके सदरन पंजाब से बच्चे आ रहे हैं वो आपके यहाँ पे डोमेस्टिक चाइल्ड लेबर में इन्वॉल्व हैं बच्चे, और उसमें काफ़ी सारी बच्चियाँ उसमें इन्वॉल्व होती हैं जो उसमें होके आती हैं।
Exactly, and people really need more awareness about it as well. In addition to this, just very recently, this came to our notice, and it's everywhere on social media as well.
Yes.
And that is that what all of these mafia people are doing to kidnap all of these children so that they can be trafficked is that, you know, unfortunately what they're doing is that they're taking our holy book Quran. Yes. What they're doing is that they're taking out holy scripts out of it. They spray some sort of whatever, you know, anesthesia it is, and what they do is that they throw it somewhere around, unfortunately, onto the road. And if any kid, you know, who's just walking by, or anybody who's actually going to pick it up, obviously we have this habit of kissing it first.
True, true.
You know, so there and then they lose consciousness, and the next thing you know that the kids are actually being kidnapped as well. So I would want everybody to kind of keep an eye out. And I think it's major responsibility lies on the parents. You know, if you have kids, you really need to be responsible, and you really need to be out there as well. Imagine that, you know, for all of these years, alhamdulillah, I've never let my daughters be on the terrace all by themselves, because unfortunately, God forbid, if something happens and if something goes wrong, I think I'll be the one who's not going to forgive myself for being lazy.
Yes.
So I think it's the parents' responsibility now and then, 24/7, to make sure that they keep a strict eye on their children, where they're going, where they're coming from, whether they're not leaving the house, you know, unattended, you know. So for all of these things, I think each and every parent needs to be held responsible. But thank you so much, madam, for being with us
to
talk about it. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, there's this Child Protection Bureau which is out there. 1121 is the helpline. जितने बच्चे सुन रहे हैं, आप लोगों की हिफाजत के लिए एक इदारा है, उसको कहते हैं चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन ब्यूरो। अगर आप कहीं भी परेशान हैं, आपको उससे कहीं मजदूरी कराई जाती है ज़बरदस्ती, आपके ऊपर जुल्म किया जाता है, या आपकी तनख्वाह भी नहीं आपको दी जाती, तो आप इस नंबर पे कॉल कर सकते हैं, जिसका नंबर है 1121-1121, और अपनी मदद के लिए आप सरकार को रीच आउट कर सकते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we're actually going to head out towards a short break, and it's not just the government who's actually going to be out there helping. Obviously, you know, that's what the government's role is as well, but there are other people who are helping other people within the community to make a society a place where everybody is loved. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking about that after a short break. Good morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back, and obviously in the starting of the program, Shahzad alluded to the fact that we are going to have a first Ramadan or first Roza tomorrow.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. And we see, and I think we often talk about it, that how we can find this altruistic spirit, especially dominating in the month of Ramadan. So we would see there were a lot of iftar parties being arranged, not just for the people within to socialize, but also for the poor people. And we would see people, they are engaging in a lot of activities, altruistic activities, where they're gaining the ration, where they're providing for the poor people. And this is what Ramadan teaches us, right? Because it wants to make us more muttaqi, it wants to have more taqwa inside us, and Quran mentions that it is enjoined on us as it was before the people like us, so that we can be more pious. To further develop this conversation about how the altruistic spirit can be further developed, and we have someone in the studio who are working on this particularly, this aspect of it, and where we are going to talk about that how our organization is also involved in this particular altruistic activity. So we are very glad that we have been joined by someone who happens to be Deputy Country Director of the Zakat Foundation. He happens to be Fazlur Rahman. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Thank you very much.
And obviously when we talk about the altruistic spirit, and obviously the altruistic spirit requires the volunteers, right? And especially younger volunteers, because they're very active and they want to earn the sawab, and Ramadan is the best time where you can amplify your deeds. So we are very glad that we have been joined by someone who happens to be the volunteer for the Zakat Foundation. She happens to be Nayab Ronak. Assalamu alaikum, Nayab, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Thank you.
So it's wonderful to have you over here, and that to kind of speak about, because, you know, we just mentioned right at the beginning that our entire program lineup, for the Ramadan is of such sort as well, and we will be sharing such examples. Because Alhamdulillah, ladies and gentlemen, so whatever we give in the name of Allah Almighty, may it be zakat and sadaqah, in the month of holy month of Ramadan, you know, it's just the benefit is multifaceted as well, and not just that, the benefits more any days as well. So said, to get started with it, obviously, you know, so now the Zakat Foundation of America has actually joined hands with PTV Academy, Pakistan Television Academy, and you know, there's this venture which you are building up, that you know, that all those people around the Pakistan Television Center in the PTV Academy where we are placed, you know, we will be making sure that Pakistan Television and the Zakat Foundation of America will actually be distributing iftar this Ramadan as well. So please take us through, because it's a wonderful initiative and we are calling it Hadiya Iftar.
Hadiya Iftar.
Sir,
beautiful, beautiful name. I think, and this name is, you know, whenever you listen this name, Hadiya Iftar. So some people, they say that we are going to deliver to distribute iftar and like these things, but this is a beautiful name from the PTV, the Hadiya Iftar. So this is our honor that Alhamdulillah this year PTV Academy and Zakat Foundation of America both joined the hand, and they decided that the people who are living around the PTV Academy and surrounding of that building, they are very poor. They are slums, Kachi Abadis, and you know that it is very difficult to fast the Ramadan. You know, fasting is with only with a sip of water is okay.
Right.
But you know that how you feel that when our children, when our elders, they are sitting around the table and they are enjoying all you know, blessing of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Why not the people who are you know, living in slums and they are poor, they are underprivileged. So why they don't you know, come in our this location and this PTV you know, area inside, and we want to organize a Hadiya Iftar for them. And that is a well organized, just like PTV is a well organized.
Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair for saying that, and I think PTV has a really amazing lawns and we can utilize that for this altruistic purposes, because like Shahzad mentioned and I also talked about it, that in Ramadan our deeds are multiplied, they're amplified, right? So any neki that you are going to do, any good deed that you are going to do, it is going to amplify, and this is what we need, right? So Nayab, now moving on to you, and obviously when we talk about the volunteers, there are lots of people, lots of students out there, they're very eager to volunteer for such sort of activities, right? And youth engagement is particularly an important aspect of it. So tell us, explain us about your work, how you're going to do that, and are you excited for it?
And how Berry University is becoming a part of it.
Definitely, we're very excited for it. I represent Bahria University, or the CSP club of Bahria University.
And
to be
CSP
more
stands
specific.
for?
It stands for Community Support Program Club, and as the name signifies, we've been working over last many years.
From 2014 or 15 probably, yes?
Yes, most probably. Since then we've been working on different community service projects of different magnitudes, but it's the first time that we are working on such a prolonged Ramadan Iftar Dastarkhan program.
It's for the first time?
It's for the first time that we are working on this prolonged of a project.
Exactly, and you know, Bilkul, sir, you know, so with this I can actually recall one of my projects as well. So imagine, so Madam Shazi, if you're out there, thank you so much for, you know, for making us all aware. So imagine that in 2005, unfortunately, there was a disastrous earthquake which actually took place. So one of our teachers from university, professors from university said that, okay, you know, for everybody who's going to volunteer and go and help, you know, will not have to, you know, sit in the exam and is going to get full grades as well.
Wow.
So that's something that, which I'm going to kind of relate over here. So when you do these CSP programs, is that the kind of benefit that you reap, you know, when you're in your university? Do you think that you're going to get some special project marks as well, that you guys are out there to help other people, you know, so this is how the university rewards you?
Yes, definitely. The university does reward us, and there is this initiative of HEC where the CSPRs are a part of it.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a
3 credit
mandatory
hours, right?
requirement. Yes, it's a mandatory requirement for the university degree as well at the bachelor's level. But for me, I would like to mention that the club that I'm working for, we have all volunteers, and most of them have already completed that requirement. So it's the volunteer spirit that they are working with.
Wow, that's wonderful, and that's exactly what I wanted to know as well, that these children over here in Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, if we are the most philanthropic country, all over the world, it's because of the heart that we have. It's because of the children that we have.
And I think, Shahzad, we also need to appreciate the HEC and whoever have this vision of incorporating the community service programs into their bachelor's project, that they want their kids, or particularly the younger generation, to be more invested in the community work and these altruistic spirits.
Exactly.
Right?
So, sir, which is why, where we are actually speaking about Hadiya Iftar, is there any Hadiya Seher as well? What do you think?
So
the Seher we'll have to manage ourselves for Hadiya Iftar. We'll be out there.
It is difficult to manage Hatiya Sahar.
Sahar.
So, that management is also a very, technical thing.
Leave that to Pakistan television. We're good at it. Believe you me. Yes.
You know that the Zakat Foundation, as a new organization in Pakistan, they decided that we have to engage the students and young people.
Right.
True.
So that they understand and they feel that what is the feeling of the people who don't have,
Exactly, and I've seen people, so obviously throughout Ramadan you will see that there will always be people out there with their ration drives and whatnot. It always feels amazing to be a part of such a nation where everybody's out there on the giving hand as well. But sir, in addition to this, there's this one recommendation which I would love to add on over here, where we do talk about how we really need to kind of fulfill their requirements for the iftar. Can we please, somehow, if the Zakat Foundation of America is willing to do so, towards the end, in the last Ashraf, we can ask them if, there are children, we can give them some new clothes or something so that they can actually enjoy the spirit of Eid amongst us. I think that's one thing that I would want for children to be out there. For all of those people who will be coming for iftar, we can ask them, make a list, okay, how many children do you have? And just, one new dress for each family, I think will do it.
Sure.
Inshallah.
I think this was not in our plan, but Shahzad, you proposed this one, and this is a beautiful, and I think this suggestion, inshallah, we will do.
Inshallah.
And we will invite you also on that day.
I'll be there, sir.
Distribute the good clothes.
I'll be there because
and like this.
And
thing.
Shahzad will also like to contribute.
And Hajra also,
Inshallah.
not only Shahzad.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah, and I will also contribute.
And there's
to
a
the
reason, sir,
customer
because,
relations here.
imagine that, as soon as I get done with my work over here, the straight away I actually have to go to PTV Academy because my other studio is over there as well.
Wow.
So I'll be seeing you, inshallah. I'll be joining you with the iftar, and I think I'll be able to do that CSP program myself as well.
Inshallah.
But why not? If you're there,
That's
I think
wonderful.
this month of Ramadan, that's the kind of spirit that you really need to bring on. कि जितनी
Exactly.
नेकी आप समेट सकते हैं ना समेट लें.
And I think we need to continue that spirit. So this is what Ramadan teaches us. So you start in that month and then you continue and multiply and not just restrict yourself to the Ramadan. Now, sir, let's talk about the Zakat Foundation
Yes.
as a whole, right? So what sort of altruistic other initiative you are undertaking? Because one of the initiative that you mentioned, your website particularly mentioned, is particularly dealing with the water scarcity, right?
True. Yeah.
Or the projects that are related to the water management. So can you elaborate on them?
Yeah, thank you very much. Zakat Foundation is based in US, and just the name Zakat Foundation of America. The purpose, the Muslims who are living in USA, they started this organization in 2001, and the purpose, and currently the Zakat Foundation is working in 40 countries,
MashaAllah.
and Pakistan is one of them. And recently we opened a office in Islamabad, and the basic purpose of this office is to establish a big hospital in Lahore,
Wonderful.
and that is a with the heart specialty.
Okay.
The other project during Ramadan, inshallah, we are going to distribute all over the Pakistan food packs. This is the thing which we are doing with the PTV, that is iftar, daily iftar. So this is hot meal. But we are providing the package, the full package for the whole month to different areas. In
Is
the
it a ration
far-flung
package
areas.
or is it
Ration
cooked?
package. This is
Ration
ration
package,
package.
okay.
This is the rice, the atta, oil,
sugar.
sugars, the basic
Cha.
things. Yeah.
ਚਾਹ ਬੜੀ
Cha
ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ
bhi,
ਹੈ।
yeah.
ਹਲਕੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਖਜੂਰਾਂ ਵੀ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ।
Yeah, could
ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ।
yes, will be also there, inshallah.
Sir, in addition to this, there's one more thing which I would love to talk about, and probably, you can feed it, where people really need to kind of learn it as well. So imagine that everywhere you go around in Pakistan, alhamdulillah, we do have people with big hearts. You will always see banners, shaam ka khana hamare saath khaye, or, if you need any, join us on our dastarkhan, whatnot. But there's this one thing which I've always thought about, and that is that I will never see a poster saying, if you want to learn this course for free, come in. if you want to learn this, come in for free, so probably institutions and whatnot. So do you think that your foundation?
I think you are very intelligent person. The reason is that the basic purpose of the Zakat Foundation in Pakistan is that capacity building of the youth.
Wonderful.
And we are our office is just adjacent to PTV center in Evacu Trust.
MashaAllah.
Here we have a seminar room, and we will organize different type of capacity building programs for youth and also for media. On media we have different 2, 3, 4 type of workshops, and we are also involving the students from all over the Pakistan universities, especially to build their capacity so that they can get easily jobs and they can apply, they can
and give them those soft skills with which they can actually earn money.
Life skills and the soft skills.
And that's exactly what we want.
Right.
But with this, let me move on to Nayab. So Nayab, I think it's great that how you're representing your university. You're a member, or probably you're heading the CSP as well at your university. It's the 3 credit hours. All of those people have fulfilled that criteria, but still want to be out there. But in Ramadan, you always would know, and we have gone through it as well, that every now and then there's Chachu ke ghar iftari, Dadu ke ghar iftari, Popo ke ghar iftari.
Yes.
So then who's going to be out there, because when you'll be at the Popo's place doing iftari, then who'll be at the Iftar drive, that we were talking about over here at Pakistan Television Center. Do you think that you've got it under control, or do you think that you will manage one after another? Okay, if you're on leave, somebody else will watch out. Do you think that you planned about it?
Shahzad, it was one of my point of concerns when we were planning the scheduling of volunteers. But I was very surprised that most of the volunteers were willing to volunteer for whole 30 days.
Yeah.
And it was very surprising for me as well that they were not giving priority to those family gatherings or family
उस दिन फिर गायब होते हैं जिस दिन अफ्तारी थी अच्छी वाली, ये गायब हो जाते हैं फिर क्या करोगी, ये पूछ रहा हूँ.
नहीं, हम पहले भी बहुत इस तरह के प्रोजेक्ट्स पे काम करते हैं, तो these are the people that you can count on.
Really?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm
Would you
very
love
sure.
to name them as well, because, for all of these people, ladies and gentlemen, I would certainly want everybody to appreciate them. Please go ahead. Why don't you take names of your team?
I have a student body of like 150 people, so it would be very unfair to name some of them, but still if I go on and name some of
So
my
there'll be
hierarchy
150 people who will be assisting you
willing,
guys with the
yes.
drive.
No, but we requested them that we need only 8 people.
क्योंकि अफ्तारी से ज़्यादा तो सर फिर मेरे ख्याल है जो volunteer होते हैं अफ्तारी
It's very difficult. So they said that around 20 students they volunteered that we will go, and we will not go to the Mama, Chacha and others house, but we will go there and we will arrange Hadiya iftar with poor people.
Okay,
Wow.
okay, sir. So one last question before we wrap up this segment, and which is obviously Zakat Foundation is based in the USA. It has its headquarters there, and it is working very diligently on the refugee empowerment, right? And obviously, being a Muslim in a particular country which is foreign, which is not a Muslim state, so obviously the concept of the refugee takes a very special meaning, right? Because it is very close to your heart, and the problems that lies, and the sense of belonging, and all of the identity crisis that undergoes into it, right?
Yes.
So would you like elaborating what sort of empowerment are you focusing through this platform?
In Pakistan?
Yes.
Especially. That we have a different type of empowerment of the youth, especially, and the people who have skills, but they are not in a position to get jobs. So especially our focus is youth, students, and the people who have skills, but they don't have that type of qualification, or that type of soft image or values or life skills, so that they can easily get into that jobs. So
Right.
we are working on that.
Right.
Especially for refugees or for other people who are we have support and help for them, but capacity building,
Right.
training, and their life skills development is our main focus of the Zakat Foundation of America in Pakistan.
Right,
Wonderful.
right. And that's wonderful, and I think everyone needs to focus on that, because when we talk about the community development, when we talk about the community support, or when we talk about investing in our particular community, so I think this is the debt that we own on living on this earth, right? And it is also very innate nature of us. It is the fitrah that we need to help it out there, because this is how Allah has designed things, and this is the pattern that we find in this Mother Earth. And and in the universe if we see it, right? So thank you so much, sir, for coming here. Thank you so much, Naya, for
Thank
coming
you.
here, for doing this wonderful initiative, and for making sure that this altruistic spirit keeps on growing and growing. And in Ramadan in coming days, we are going to see it multiplied a lot, and that is the best time to observe, right? With that, we are bidding you farewell. Allah Hafiz. Until next time, it's a goodbye and good
Good morning. Have a great day.
Thank you.